If there was ever a performance you wanted a little more out of, it would be this one. Welcome to the Dom Skeen channel, your one-stop shop for the Mariners storylines on Seattle's minds. The M's fell 2-1 to a team we used to call the Lastros in a 12-inning slogfest last night. It wasn't a performance devoid of opportunity or bright spots. In fact, this was a tie game for all 12 innings, packed with opportunities to deliver a knockout punch that always feels like Buster Douglas over Mike Tyson against a division rival. The difference between Buster Douglas and the April 8th Mariners was the fact that Douglas was never scared of Mike Tyson. He got inside Mike Tyson's shit and he knocked him out. He knew he couldn't let the fight go 12 rounds and let the judges decide it. And he certainly wasn't worried about what anybody else thought of giving him a chance before the fight. You know, they said that that fight was going to last 90 seconds. He was one of the biggest underdogs in sports history at 42-1 odds, and he knocked Mike Tyson out in the 10th round. It also meant a lot more to Buster Douglas. Mike Tyson was, later on in his career, whereas Buster Douglas was a young fighter who had just lost his mother in lead up to this fight and had watched the mother of his children get a kidney problem. So this fight was bigger to him than it was to Mike Tyson. The Mariners need to take it personally. We got to play for this S. We got to take this personally at this point because it doesn't matter why we can't hit, why we've got a 176 XBA. We're here now, and we've got to work with this. We got 150 games left of this. So, as far as contact goes, our number one issue, we don't have any contact hitters in the lineup without Polanco and Robles. And last night it showed. Our 176 XBA suggested we didn't deserve to hit well. Runners in scoring position problems, which is what most people are talking about, on Mariners social media platforms, are a symptom of an overall lack of confidence in our own abilities. If we weren't awful at hitting, we wouldn't press that little bit extra hard quite as much, and when we did, the floor would still be higher. We're in the 20 to 30 range in every offensive statistic and 5 to 15 in most pitching statistics as a team. Listen, we're putting guys on base on offense. We're having some, a good amount of walks, and we're actually putting guys on base on the pitching end too, making those innings longer than they need to be. But we are letting the runs up on the pitching side, not getting out of those innings, and then we're just not getting any runners across the plate comparatively. I think we've scored about 37 runs so far, and it's just not good enough. We're really bottom of the barrel. We're hitting under the Mendoza line as a team 199. I think that's good for 27th as of today. So where do we go from here? We got basically no contact hitters in the lineup. And then, as far as lefties, right? They brought in a ton of lefties. Taylor Scott, a few others. It was late last night. They all blend together. 93 fastball. Basically, all of them have a 93 fastball and some sort of breaking ball. Sweeper, splitter, slider, stuff like that. But it was working against our guys. We couldn't even make contact. When we needed a sac fly to win the game, to tie the game, couldn't get it. Polanco, our best hitter, doesn't hit against lefties at all. So our lineup versus lefties is just kind of, you just don't really see a lot of strengths in there. Now, as far as the clutch moments and the runners in scoring position stats, which, yes, the Mariners did have 20 plate appearances with runners in scoring position last night, yet we're 0 for 20 in all those. And we didn't allow an earned run last night. 0 earned runs, so great job on the pitching end. Not as much to say about Luis Castillo. His velocity is pretty low. He's kind of reduced his fastball and his four-seam and his two-seam. Now they're both in the 95 range, which makes them kind of more deceptive because they look more like the breaking balls, the slider, as well as the changeup, obviously. And he's got a pretty good mix going right now. So if it's not broken, don't fix it. But It'll be interesting to see it, as the weather gets hotter, if that velocity gets back to the hundreds on his fastball, as it usually does. As far as these clutch moments and runners in scoring position stats, they're going to normalize over time. And we need to start looking in the underlying data to see if we can figure out what's going on. Like, or is it the counts? Is it something specific about these at bats that's kind of we just aren't noticing or putting together? Where's the pattern here? As far as news and notes, Bliss was playing with Ryan Bliss was playing with the torn left bicep, and now we just threw him on the IL today, and there's no timetable for his return. In the corresponding move, called Leo Rivas back up. So now we should get what I've been kind of clamoring for, which is Polanco at second and Moore at third, or so I thought, especially after Moore had an excellent play last night at third defensively. However, today we got Miles Mastrobuoni playing second, so it's going to be interesting to see. We get to see his glove out there today. Get to see him get some at bats. I'm hoping that he can just get on base a few times and then make some good plays at second. That glove and base running, and then get a few hits blended in there. And then the other move we made today, Jesse Hahn got DFA'd after pitching 2 innings last night, and we called Casey Lawrence up. I think this was more to manage innings, more because we needed an extra guy in the pen today after having to expend so much yesterday. So we could see Lawrence sent back down. We could see Hahn called back up pretty quickly, but I don't know why we ended up DFAing Jesse Hahn. That, I guess, casts a little bit of doubt as to his future with the organization. As far as today's game, moving on to today's game, we got to do everything we can to win. We haven't won a series this season. We split the first series versus the A's, lost to the Tigers, lost to the Giants. We got to win a series here. I mean, that would give us so much confidence if we can just win this series. We're going up against Hunter Brown, who for my money's worth, top 30 starting pitcher in Major League Baseball. I mean, he's got 6 pitches, 4-seam, sinker, cutter, slider, change, curve. And this is a real frontline starter with 6 good pitches that he can use. And I mean, he could blow through our lineup, or, there are times where he gets hit really hard. So that's one of my big hopes, is that, we can walk a little bit and we can have a few really hard hits off of him. Luis F. Castillo makes his second start for the big league club, and he had a pretty high hard hit rate in that first start at 21.4%. Did keep the average exit velocity. His average exit velocity was 89.8, so he kind of was getting killed there. Wasn't getting actually, so 21.4 is, a pretty good hard hit percentage for him. So he induced a little bit of weak contact, but the exit velocities were high when he. So this is kind of interesting to see. He's going to induce some ground balls, but also get hit really hard. This is just like kind of a messy contact, like pitch to contact guy. Really cold on the K percentage and the walk percentage. He has both the same strikeout and walk percentage at 11.1 apiece. Expected batting average against 313. Geez. Hunter Brown's stats look pretty good this year. Not amazing, but he's preventing hard contact. He's keeping that hard hit rate down, even though it's not quite as low as Luis F. That's a stat that takes a long time to normalize. I just want to see us put guys on base, get some walks against Hunter Brown, make him go deep into counts. And then I want to see us hit the ball really, really hard a few times. Then as far as Luis F. Castillo, I just want to see this guy do some ground balls, get him to put it on the ground. Just don't let them win the game. Force them to win the game. Don't let us lose the game. Force them to put it on the ground. If they small ball us up and win in a game of inches again, fine. But I don't think that's going to happen after what's happened last night. I think we're pissed, and we're going to come out here and, we're going to smell blood in the water. We're going to take a close one today if it comes to that. And looking at our lineup, Miles Mastrobuoni, got a really good sprint speed. Doesn't have a great expected batting average, but I'm hoping that he can just walk a few times. Rowdy, I need to see something, as everybody does. Otherwise, it's an experiment that you can let go of pretty soon. Demo, I think, needs to play at third every day for us, so just want to see him continue to take good at bats. Rayleigh, it would be nice to see something from him. He's kind of a platoon guy, if we're being honest, with the Rays, who we've now given this opportunity to play every day, but he hasn't taken it and ran with it. And Polanco, uh, finally, we get to see him back in the lineup as a DH today. Um, so today, my score prediction, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go 3-1. I'm gonna say that Homer is gonna be. I'm gonna go Cal on his the last day of his bobblehead day, and I'm gonna say that Luis F. Castillo is gonna get 3 strikeouts. Leave your 3 answers in the comments down below to win a few prizes. First, what the score of the game is going to be. Second, who's going to hit a home run. And third, how many strikeouts Luis F. Castillo will have the Mariners. If you get 1 right, you get a magnetic schedule. If you get 2 right, I'll give you a shout out. And if you get 3 right, I will give you the Julio Rodriguez bat flip bobblehead. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys later in the next one. Go Wimps.